What's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione. Here's another edition of the Powerlifting for the People podcast. We got Julius Maddox on the line today. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Cool, man. Great. We're doing the best we can over here. We just got back from the Arnold, which is amazing. Got to see you lift in person a few times, but I know this was a really special day for just kind of really upping that world record. So, how are you feeling since then? And maybe before we kind of get into that, maybe just tell if people don't know who you are, where you're from, and what we got going on right now.
Julius Maddox. I am the current all-time world record holder. I broke the all-time world record for bench press. Sorry, I had to break for it. I've been lifting for about 6 years. I'm coached under Josh Bryant, Jailhouse Strong.
Cool.
I'm from Owensboro, Kentucky, a little small town south of Louisville, Kentucky.
Cool.
And that's about it.
Cool. Yeah, it was really. I've got to see you lift in person a few times over the years, and like seeing you bench that 770 was amazing. I want to rewind before we kind of talk about this last prep and this last meet. How did you first get into benching? What was it like doing your first powerlifting meet? What made you decide you wanted to throw your hat into powerlifting? What were you doing before then? Like, how'd you get into lifting?
So it's kind of a long story, but I had got into some trouble about 8 years ago for trafficking drugs through the mail. And this was, my second time being in trouble, like serious trouble. And it was just time for some change. I had a daughter. She was a year old. She was getting ready to turn 1. And, I was still screwing up, just being a kid and not really considering how much my actions affect everybody around me.
Yeah.
And, and there's no excuse for it as far as not being really taught what a man is supposed to do in his household. And that transition from a boy to a man, like, I never had anybody to, walk me through that. So I, pretty much found on my own, and I went the wrong direction, just because, peer pressure and I've always wanted to fit in. I've always wanted to, be a part of something. Us as humans, it's what we long for, community. And I found that, drugs and money and cars and women, those things at some point made me feel complete. So I ended up getting busted June 2012. And this time I couldn't bond out. I was there to stay. I ended up getting 2 5-year prison sentences. And one moment that kind of broke me was my fiance brought my daughter up to the jail on her first birthday, October 25th, 2012. Remember like it was yesterday. And just this weird, not only conversation, but this feeling of, my daughter trying to touch me through the glass. And,
yeah.
And it was just really weird. But anyway, I ended up getting an opportunity to go to rehab, long-term rehab, or in exchange for my sentence. And I went to rehab, and that's where, like, I learned how to be a man and grew up. And in this rehab, they had this down in the basement with a dirt floor, some old weights. I found myself just lifting weights every day whenever I got home from work because, just still, I used drugs for so long. I just had a chemical imbalance, just period in my brain, and it's just,
yeah.
I didn't feel normal anymore. So I found that lifting weights kind of leveled me out. And before I knew it, I was lifting every single weight down in the basement. And then from there, a guy was like, hey, you need to do a competition. And I was like, all right, let's try it. I did my first competition.
What were you lifting? What were you lifting in the basement up at that point? Do you remember, like, kind of the weights you were doing? Or?
Well, whenever I first started out, I was doing like 3 sets of, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing like 3 sets of 10 of like 135, just about. But I benched every single day. Every single day I did not 335, 135 for a set of 10, and I would do 3 sets of that. I would do skull crushers, 3 sets of 10, curls, 3 sets of 10, overhead press, 3 sets of 10. Just simple. I didn't have no coach. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did what I've seen over the years. And I would do that just about 5 days out of the week. And I just kept getting stronger and stronger. Then before I knew it, I'm 225, then 315, then 405, and just kept adding on plates. And before I knew it, I had a 525-pound bench, and I had only been lifting for about 8 months.
Wow.
And from there, well, a buddy of mine reached out to Josh Bryant. About 6 months later, Josh started coaching me. I hit a 620-pound bench the next year.
So,
and then I just progressed.
Sure. So I want to kind of pause a little bit because obviously Josh Bryant, he's a fantastic coach. I know. I believe he was like the youngest person to bench 600 originally. So obviously he's got a lot of great athlete himself, and a lot of great experience. So what was it like kind of doing your own thing, just doing 3 sets of 10, just kind of adding a little bit of weight to being on a more structured program, and then kind of being under a coach? Like, what was that transition like, and how is
as
that?
I call it, man, I didn't want that smoke. I remember when I first got my spreadsheet, and after that first week, I'm like, there's no way I can continue doing this every single week, week in, week out.
Yeah, his programs are tough for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and so from there, and also keep in mind, like, I had a full-time job.
Right.
And I had a family, and I'm just now starting to enter back into society sober and learning how to live on my own. And then, we ended up getting custody of our nephew, and he's like 6 months old. So, I remember one time in that jail cell, and I'm a man of faith. I hit my knees and I said, God, if you're real, you'll show me you're real. You'll give me purpose. And it seemed like I'm serious. A year later,
wow.
From that moment, about a year and a half later, I had every single thing a person would ever want in life, and it was overwhelming. So with Josh Bryant on the team, just that slow progression over a long period of time, and he helped not only physically, but he helped me mentally. Because I was one of them guys. I didn't believe in myself. I didn't know that I had this gift inside. I knew I was strong, but just because you're strong doesn't mean like you don't have to put in the work. Like, you have to put in the work, even more work than everybody out there. So you have to have that mindset of like, I got to get this done. I got to get the job done no matter what. And just help me through those seasons, and I continue to get stronger,
So it seemed like you were juggling a lot of plates between obviously just getting your life back on track, your family, a lot of, trying to keep them fulfilled and safe and everything else. What advice do you have for somebody that maybe is a parent, or maybe they're juggling a lot, they've got a busy job, they've got a family that wants to kind of, what advice do you have to them? Because I know you said you're going to get it done no matter what. What would you say to those people?
For those people, is if you love something and you have a passion for something, you got to be willing to sacrifice. And there's days where I didn't get any sleep. There's times where, I was in somewhat of a state of low spirits. But when you love something, you'll do whatever it takes to get there. So just put it this way. I've seen older people in my life, in and out of my life, and a lot of these people were people that didn't fulfill their dreams and their goals, right? And, so you would hear these people, that's all they talked about. That's all the memories they had is what I used to do. And in fact, what burned them even more was the things that they didn't fulfill. So I didn't want to be one of those guys that lived my life regretting those decisions, those poor decisions that I made, and those things that I didn't follow up on, and those things that I didn't succeed in that I loved. So, and that's the thing. Once you quit something that you love, or you don't apply yourself fully towards something that you love, you'll live with that for the rest of your life. It'll haunt you for the rest of your life. So I'm not going to be that guy.
Awesome, my man. So I know you said you quickly kind of got within the first year, you're benching over 500, and then you kind of hit 600. So what kind of happened between 525 and 770? Like, what was the progression like? And was there any kind of milestone, meets? Did something click at some point where you're like, okay, I'm getting close to a record now? Maybe talk about your progression, and maybe was there any was there any turning point for you where you could really step it up to the next level?
It took me getting the biggest, I guess, obstacle was me getting from 625 over 650. I don't know what it was.
That was kind of a sticking point, yeah.
It was like a sticking point, and it took me a year.
Yeah.
To just get to, because I had these beginner gains. That's what a lot of these younger guys got to understand is there's going to come a season where when you first start lifting and you're really being intentional in your programming, you're going to see crazy gains, and then you're going to hit this wall.
Yeah.
So, and then you have to go back to the drawing board and figure out other ways. But anyway, I'm at this point to where I hit break 650. Then I hit like 665. Then 670. So I'm the average person is only adding on 10 to 20 pounds on their one rep max, and I'm blowing through it like every 3 months, and boom, 2015 not Eric Spoto, but 2015 Karel Sarachev breaks the all-time world record. And I just remember seeing that deflated me. Just because I was 722, I was so close.
Took it up a whole nother notch, yeah.
It took it up a whole nother notch. And this guy was a Goliath of a man. And he was only like 25 at that time.
Yeah.
And it was like, I talked to Josh about it like that day, and that's when the switch kind of flipped. And it's crazy because I'm playing this through my head. I've never really thought about that until you asked me today. But that's when the switch flipped, and I said, I ain't giving up. I'm about to turn it up. And ever since then, it's been all gas, no brakes.
Cool. I think that's really cool because I think a lot of people in your situation would be like, man, now it's like it's getting out of reach. But So what made you want to push harder at that point? Like what was kind of going through your head? Like, so that someone like him, he's hitting, set new barriers, and now like what made you kind of think that was possible for you?
I'll say a couple things. Josh always stayed positive on a positive note. I just even remember in 2014 getting emails where he was like, look, you're going to break the all-time world record. Yeah. Like, you're going to be one of the greatest powerlifters in the history of the world. And I'm like, I can't see it. And it's crazy because other people can see it before you can. But so, frequently he would remind me of what type of or caliber person I am.
Yeah.
And again, I just kept just pushing day in and day out. I don't know what it was. Just I see so much pressure from my community because, like, again, I'm surrounded by people in recovery from drugs and alcohol, right? So I was seeing the hope that I was giving people by me breaking through these plateaus and breaking through and being able to do this while still maintaining some sort of family life and work life. So I was almost like a beacon of hope to everybody. And then it just continued to snowball, and I kept getting stronger. But when 705 hit, when I hit 705, I knew what time it was. Like, that was kind of what solidified everything. And I knew that, like, no matter what, I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna break this world record. Now, 800, I couldn't wrap my mind around, getting to the point to where I'm even training for 800 pounds. That's just something that, again, just from consecutive, continue to come in the gym and get the work done even when I didn't feel like it. Biggest thing is making sure that I took deloads and letting my body rest.
Yeah.
Going on top of the deload, sometimes I even, go ahead.
I definitely want to save that programming piece because I think you're I think a lot of what you do is maybe counterintuitive to what's popular in a lot of this communities in terms of rest and things. So I definitely want to save that for later. What I'm curious, because I think that's really important, especially we were talking about Larry, same thing. It's like he only trains 3 days a week, and it's like, yeah. But it's like when you're not strong. But anyways, well, I think that's important. But so you hit a 705 bench. Correct me if I'm wrong. I try to be a good student of the game as well. But I think so. You broke Krill's record at Boss of Bosses, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then you we'll talk about that a little bit. I know you cleaned it up, and then you went from like, I guess it was that mid 700 range to 770. So what can you just tell us about like the last couple of meets, breaking the record the first time, and then what made you decide that you want to continue to keep pushing the record forward? Like, because I'm sure it was probably like a little bit of a relief breaking it the first time, but so what was like the mindset shift, and can you maybe just talk to me about what your mindset was going into your last couple of competitions, from breaking the world record the first time and then now you're upping your own record? Because I'm sure the mindset is, and the motivation's a little bit different.
Well, once I broke the American record at 723, it was just almost like a little small barrier that I had, but I was so close. And what was it? I think I attempted the all-time world record.
I want to say maybe it was like 7:38 or something like that, and I think you went a little bit above that. Yeah, so
I attempted that, failed. But coming back, just that again, that mindset is like I'm so close.
Yeah.
And I'm just so. Ultimately, again, I know we're talking about training, but I just cranked up my accessory work, which I'm huge on, and just kept moving. But I knew it was there. I noticed, like, I studied my setup, my form, and one thing that I noticed was one of my feet, my foot placement was off. So one foot was in front of the other, which caused me to shift, and which transferred over to me not getting the weight, kind of twisted my body a little bit. So I corrected that, and once I got to Boss of Bosses, man, there was something about that day of me breaking the world record, like, I knew it. My daughter would always, when I come home from the gym or work or whatever, my daughter would always say, Daddy, when are you going to be number one? And, that played over in my head over and over and over, to the point I had tears coming out of my eyes. Like, I was ready to go. And somebody had put it to me, he said, like, man, you're not just lifting for yourself. You're lifting for everybody that watches you, everybody that believes in you, everybody that depends on you, especially in your community. You're lifting their burdens also. You're showing them, you're giving them hope. And just all that stuff combined in one. Like, I usually have my headphones in when I'm back there, kind of like getting zoned in, and tuned in. And I just knew, I felt it. I knew. Had my headphones off. Josh is like, what's wrong with you? He's like, you're too relaxed. And I'm like, I know what time it is, and I'm
you have that confidence, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I just knew it. And I hit that. So just put it this way. I hit my last warm-up set 2 minutes before they called me out to do my opening lift. And Josh was like, you're way too relaxed. And I'm like, what's up? And I'm just in a season where I'm finally embracing who I am. I don't like to say this a lot. Like, I try to be humble. Like, that's just me. I used to be a prideful person, and I don't like to be kind of cocky. But now I'm really embracing who I've become, and that's one of the strongest people in the world, just cool. in general, And so, with that being said, my mindset's totally different. When I go in, I know what to expect from myself when I go in. I haven't missed a lift since Boss of Bosses. Like, we're talking about so once I broke through that world record, and that kind of people were kind of discrediting it, I was like, all right, I'll be back. I'm gonna show y'all what's up.
Let's do it better. Just to come back and do it better. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So 3 months later,
that was awesome.
But I had a conversation with the guy, kind of like a mentor of mine. He was like, 800's there. And we kind of had a wager on it. He's like, look, you get 800, you get this. And I was like,
okay,
let's do it.
Cool.
So I'm there. If you could give me a week right now, a week from today, 800's in the bag. That's how confident I am. I believe it. I see it.
I think a lot of people really just, especially in powerlifting, because it is such like a strength sport, but I don't think people realize how mental it really can be.
Yeah.
And I think that's really what separates the pretty good guys to the top guys. So I actually asked the same question to Eddie Hall, and I'm curious what your answer is. Now you're at a point where you're at the top of the mountain. So when you're going for something like this 800-pound bench, something that no one has ever done before, like, what is kind of going through your head? What advice do you have for somebody that maybe is lacking a little bit of confidence in themselves? Because, what can you tell those people?
Man, the reward isn't everything. It's the process. Everything that you go through in between. So I count that as gold, and I look at the process. I value the process more than I value the reward, because the reward is temporary. A few minutes of recognition. Yeah. A couple thousand followers on Instagram, but the process of me grinding and that information that I learned in the process, money can't buy that experience. Money can't buy that type of grind that you have to go through mentally, and the experience you get from the process. So, because I've learned that every single time I got that peak and I hit that PR, then followed a season of depression, like 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 a week of like just pressed out. And I don't know what it is. Like, it's because it wasn't what I expected it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think 800 is something that I'm looking for, and I think that you have to continue to set goals. 2 things. Love the process, like fall in love with the process, value the process more than you value the reward, and then I think set goals after that whatever it is that you're striving for. So once you accomplish that main goal that you've always wanted, set goals after that. Like I have in mind, like I want to do strongman. Then after that, I want to lose weight. I want to go through a weight loss transformation like you, bro. Like I've been looking and I've been keeping up with some of your weight loss, like over the period of 10 years? Is that what it was?
It's been.
I know the last four, but mainly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working at it for 10 years, and then the last 4 I've made the most progress. But again, people's like, "Oh, I want to lose weight fast, like you." I'm like, dude.
No, but it's been a long season. Like,
to your point,
anything that comes easy and fast.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. I love that advice. So now I want to kind of go back to the program a little bit. I think we had a lot of great mindset and motivation from you already. I think that you're at a level where the rest and recuperation is paramount. So if you could maybe talk about like what Josh has you doing and whatever you're comfortable with, obviously in terms of like your frequency, how much rest you're taking, and how important that is for as you're getting ready for competition.
Yeah, and I know you'll understand this, and I'm sure a lot of elite pilots understand this, but you have to be so in tune with your body to when you know when to say, all right, it's really time for a rest day.
Yeah.
Not one of those days where you have to like make yourself go to the gym, but I'm saying like you're so mentally and physically beat up, you just need to take extra time off. So we have the deload after every third completed week. But also there's some days in there where you just absolutely need to just say, look, I'm going to dial it back. I'm just going to sit at home and maybe walk a little bit, but not do anything. Because what I'm learning, I'm not nowhere near as far as educated in the anatomy of the body as you are or Josh is, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
But just understanding that just because your body feels like that you've recovered doesn't mean your central nervous system has responded yet. And sometimes it takes even longer for your central nervous system to actually fully recover. So those are just small things that I'm learning and knowing like just when to say, look, I'm going to take some extra days off. I found that I'm not just stronger, but just more productive. Period. Whenever I take sometimes a week off where I don't even touch a weight. Period. Not even a deload. Just a full week off where I'm not touching a weight. Maybe I'm walking a little bit. I might go in and do some resistance work, but other than that, just take a step back, kind of dial it back. So that's your question?
Absolutely. No, I think it's great because I think a lot of these newer lifters, they're like so afraid to like take a day off. And so like what advice do you have to somebody that maybe is in that category and, maybe they're afraid to deload or they're afraid to take some time off either before or after the competition? Like what advice do you have to some of the younger lifters so they can make sure that they're staying healthy and performing their best, not just now, but long term?
I mean, you're going to learn the easy way or the hard way.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. So, be one of those guys that says, grind 24/7 and, pop a pec.
Right.
All these injuries that could possibly happen. Or chill, bro. I mean, it's simple. Like, take a step back and let your body rest. And like, I know guys who are just, they are so wanted about their programming.
Yeah.
Like some of my athletes, and they're like, look, program updated yet? And I'm like, listen, you need to chill, bro. Like, let your body rest.
Yeah.
It's only been 6 days and you train, 5 of those days. Let your body rest. Chill out.
Yeah.
So like, and that's what it is. Like, it's not as complicated as we make it either. You're gonna learn now and be able to have a long life of lifting heavy weights, or you're going to end early. You're going to be one of those guys where you're 40 years old, 30 years old, can't overhead press 135.
Right.
I mean, I see it every day in the gym because those guys at a younger age went heavy all the time. So
cool. I think that's like one of the biggest questions I get when they see like what Larry is doing as well, and it's like, that's all he does, and I'm like, yeah, but it's like you ain't lifting 800 pounds in a squat or 800 pounds in a deadlift, and you don't, like I said, if you're like benching 600-700 pounds, the amount of damage that takes and the amount of nervous system fatigue that is accumulated in just, I remember you did that like 700 triple. It's like, I mean, yeah, it's 3 reps, but it's 3 reps with, so like that 3 reps is different than someone else's. If your 3 rep max is like 225, it's not the same thing. Yes, the effort may be similar, but as far as the damage it's done and what it's doing to your body, how much load it is on your joints, it takes way longer to recover from. And I can attest to that as, you know, as an equipped lifter. You know, when you have 800 or 900 pounds on your spine, yes, the gear is helping, but it's still 800 or 900 pounds of compression on the back, and you got to kind of take that into account. So I think that's really, really good stuff. I thought this was awesome. It was awesome to hear about your backstory as well. Julius, where can people find you if they want to follow you? And if, I don't know if you have any like, merchandise or apparel, anything, where can people kind of support your journey, and where can they find more about you?
Yeah. You can check my website out at irregularstrength.com, and that's IRREGULAR strength.com. On Instagram, it's irregular_strength. And my YouTube channel is Julius Maddox.
All right, easy enough. We'll include those links in the description. Julius, I really appreciate your time today. It's always a pleasure. It's like I said, I've got to see you lift a couple of times. I got to see you lift a couple of times in person, but it was obviously really nice to see that last bench, because you're getting so close to your goal, and you're just setting. I admire people like yourself, like Larry, they're continuing to set new boundaries for like the lifting community, and I think that's amazing. And I think, like you said, you're not just doing it for yourself, but you're just showing other people like, hey, you know, you could be great too, and you can kind of push those boundaries and get that self-improvement. So I love that. So give Julius a follow. Check out the links in the description. If this podcast helped you, please give it a 5-star review, and please share it. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.